Hello and welcome to part 10 of the Bungalow tutorial series. This is David Ward. When last I left you, we had gone in and gotten the textures onto the brickwork here, and on the inside of the walls here we got the stucco texture there. So as you can see, we're inside the house. We also have that brick line, or that brick texture on the floor, which we don't really want, but we'll work with that after we get everything set up. So. One thing I forgot to do in part 9 was on my brick foundation. It's just a painted on texture now. It has no actual, texture to the touch. So one thing I should do is go to the textures tab over there and scroll down all the way to influence and set that to also have normal. Now, the way the normal maps work are, it's kind of hard to zoom in real close because that's not that great of a quality of texture, but everything that's white on a black and white image gets raised up, and everything that's black gets pushed down. So that's how you can kind of control the illusion that it actually has a bump surface. Everything that's white is coming out, and everything is convex, and everything that's black is concave, if that makes sense. So as you can see, that being the case, this colored texture is not the best for a texture map, but what we could do, I guess we can go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and go into Photoshop, and let me open up my Blender folder there. Open the bricks file. Okay, so what we can do is just go ahead and image, and we can use this adjustments down here. It's called threshold, and that'll create an absolute black and white, no shades of gray at all. The problem with the brick like this, though, is, it's not just, black and white image, so we have to probably mess with the brightness and contrast a little bit first, so we can maybe do something like this. Turn off that legacy. Try to get it the way we want. Then image, we can go desaturate. Where's that? There it is. And this really isn't the best the best colored texture map for this particular procedure, but let's see what we can do with it. Adjust the brightness and contrast. I don't know that we're going to get a better texture in here, so let's just pump back. If you were to do that, you could go ahead and save it as, and then bring it in as another texture setting, and then make sure you don't have it set to color on the influence, but you only have it to normal. But as I was saying, everything that's white is going to be pushed out, and since the mortar between the bricks is a little bit lighter color than the bricks themselves, it's going to come out a little further than the bricks, and we don't want that. So I'm going to set the geometry to -1, and you see now the bricks actually come out further than the mortar. Now that's a little bit too much because it looks a little too grainy there, so I'm going to set that a little lower, -0.5. So I think that'll work okay. And then also the brick doesn't need to have much sheen on it, so I'm going to go ahead and set that the specular intensity to 0.1. The hardness, I can go ahead and leave it 20, I suppose. So anyways, okay, so we got the foundation going, and now let's work on this other thing that has a brick texture, and that's going to be the chimney. And did we add loops to it already, or seams? I guess not. Let's go ahead and add a seam there. Mark that seam, and that should go all the way to this middle area, and then we can just kind of branch off. Control E, mark those seams, and I think that should be it. Let's go ahead and add a loop around the actual smokestack there. Control E, mark seam, and let's see what that looks like. Unwrap it. That's not too bad. That'll probably work okay, so I'm going to grab that whole chimney and rotate that. And tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and separate this little shelf area from the rest of the chimney, so I can Control E, so I can do it a little better when we unwrap it. Okay, so now we actually have the chimney all set there. And this is going to be that wrapped area, the ledge thing there. And then this will be inside the little opening, so it's not real important. Like I said, we won't see that, but I need to get this straightened out. So what I'm going to do is come in here. I'm going to select this whole loop, hold down Alt. I'm going to go ahead and turn on screencast keys in here as well. I guess I can. It's only in the 3D viewport. So you'll just have to listen. So hit the S button to scale on the Y axis, SY0 to flatten that out. I'm going to grab the same thing, hit Alt and right click on the line there, SY0. Okay, so now we just need to get these straightened up. Okay, let's turn this back on to shared vertex. Trying to just select, oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. SX0. SX0, just to get all these vertices lined up perfectly. Okay, so I got this section here lined up, that's good. And, okay, let's go ahead and turn that back off. There we go. Line these up here. Okay, almost there. So now I could probably just grab these SY0. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty good. Like I said, I'm not going to mess with this too much. This probably, the pipe itself is going to have its own material. So we can go ahead and use the same UV map, though it doesn't make a big difference there. But we got that all laid out. So now we can go ahead and apply that brick texture that we had. So we'll just click in here and say brick foundation. But just like on the siding, it's going to be a little bit different size. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the little 2 right there to make a new material. We'll call this one brick chimney. There we go. And then we'll come into our texture settings and go ahead and come up here and hit the little 2 there as well, so we're not affecting this texture slot. And we'll say bricks chimney. Okay, so now we can get in here and change the tiling. So now it's set to 3. Let's just bump that back down to 1 and see what happens. Okay, that looks about where it needs to go. Okay, so looks like we got some ugliness underneath there. Let's see what the issue is with that. Let's grab some of these faces if I can grab the right one. I guess it's just one. There we go. Okay, so those are being skewed. But you can work on that and fix it if you like, just moving the normal maps a little bit. Let's see if you grab the right one. You can affect it a little better. See how that's affecting it. So you could essentially, probably, since we've turned this to not have the vertices glued together, you can essentially kind of just move that individually until you get it exactly where you want. I like that. And then just make all these guys just kind of have that angle on them. And then, oops, it'll look quite a bit better. Keep going through that roof line. That's why it keeps doing that. But you can see it a little better on the top here, so let's try that on the top as well. So just move these to fit how they're actually laid out. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Okay, so that looks a little better. It's still not very pretty. If you just drag it up a little taller, looks like it does a little better there. Let's grab all these. Yeah. And let's make these all a little taller as well on the bottom. Yeah, so that looks a lot better, huh? Okay. Now, like I said, the smokestack itself, tell you what, those bricks along that ledge probably are not 2 bricks high. So I'm going to do, I'm just going to select that whole piece there, and let's make it a little smaller on the y-axis, so it kind of spreads that texture out a little bit better. That we can get just 1 row of bricks on there. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, now, like I was saying, that stovepipe there, let's go ahead and pop back to our material settings and go ahead and add a new one. And we'll call this one, well, we'll just call it stovepipe. Okay? And if you would like, or if you want to, you can go to thetextures.com and just kind of look for a rusty metal. And maybe, I don't really see one in here. We'll see, we got a metal, there we go. Something like this maybe, but maybe not quite so scratched up, rusted. Maybe that'll give us a bit more options. Let's go with, let's do this one here. And go ahead and I've started a new day since I last surfed this site, so I have full credits built back up. So, okay, so let's open this with Photoshop. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and just crop out all the excess stuff like so. Okay, Control-Alt-Shift-S, going to save for web. That makes it a smaller file size. Optimizes it. So let's go save, and then we're in the Bungalow and call this one metal pipe. Okay, then we'll come back down, minimize everything, go back to Blender. There we go. Come to our texture settings, new. Open the image, and it was metal pipe. There we go. And we'll tab into edit mode and select everything on that pipe, or select a few of the faces there, or vertices, and Control-L, and that'll select everything. Then we can grab that actual mesh there, move it into place, scale it up a little bit bigger, because this is a different material, or different texture, so we'll just go ahead and make sure you say assign to that. Okay, then you have your stovepipe up there. You can move it however you like. If you want to see exactly where it's influencing, you can just load that into the viewport here and get a better view there. So it looks like the seam, or the lines here, is the top, so that'll give you a better idea of where it can go on here. So maybe about like that. Okay, that'll work. Okay, now let's pop out one trick that one of the users on YouTube, I'm sorry I don't remember who it was, but while I'm thinking about it, I remember we had an issue with the doorknobs, and also I just noticed it on the pipe, but you can use what's called what was the name of it? Sharpen edges, I believe. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. Edge split. It's a modifier, and everything that's has a sharp angle, like our panels on the door, it will keep it a nice flat edge. But we can go ahead and add the smooth shading to it, and it'll still look okay, and it'll give us a round doorknob. So there you go. It's pretty cool little deal there. So I'm going to do that up here on the chimney as well. Add that edge split, and then give it smooth shading. So our pipe doesn't have that faceted look about it. See, if it was flat shaded, it would have that. We don't want that, so set that to smooth. So cool stuff. I'm trying to teach you guys stuff, and you guys are teaching me stuff. It's awesome. I love it. Okay, so moving right along, go ahead and save this. Next thing that's glaringly in my face is the roof. It's just a white roof. Is it covered in snow? What is that? Why is it so white? Well, we need some tiles, or not tiles, but some shingles. So back to textures.com and see if we can just do a search for shingles. Okay, so we got quite a few options here. Don't want it to look too messy, but I don't want it too clean. I'm kind of looking at this one maybe. Let's open that in a new tab. Just click on it with my middle mouse wheel. Opens it up there. Let's see what else we got down here. If you're gonna put your house into like a jungle or a a wood scene, like you're maybe gonna make a Christmas scene with the in Germany or something where it's out in the middle of the woods with the Hansel and Gretel, you might use one of these where you can put the moss and stuff all over it. But I'm gonna keep mine fairly clean. So yeah, let's just use this one here. This one, is it tiled? No. I guess it doesn't really need to be. Well, it kind of needs to be tiled, I guess, if it's gonna... Let's see if we can find a tiled one. This one's... That's all there is. I guess the textures.com doesn't have multiple pages anymore, so... Let's see what this one looks like. Might use that one. Still a little messy for me. So, see what this... Oh, seamless. That one's tiled. Okay, so we can use this one. Yeah, none of these other ones were seamless. So, yeah, let's do a preview of that. Seamless tile. Yeah. Might stretch it out a little wider so it's not so vertical, but... go back there, and we'll just get that free one, I guess, and it loaded it there. So go ahead and click on there and open with Photoshop, and I could go ahead and stretch it out in Blender, but I'm gonna do it here. So I'm gonna go image size, and constrain proportions, uncheck that. So I'm gonna make it twice as wide as it is now, so 2048. There we go. Okay, so that'll look pretty good, I guess. Alt Control Shift S, and let's lower the quality down a little bit so we can keep our file size smaller. Maybe not that far. Maybe about 55 looks okay. Excuse me. So we'll save that and call this one Shingles. Okay. Go ahead and back to Blender. All right. So now our roof. We got it selected already. Let's go to our materials, add a new one, and call this one Shingles. Alright, so let's make it a little less shiny, maybe 0.15 or so. Hardness 20. Okay, back to textures, or not back to, but to textures. There we go. And we're going to open up that Shingles. There we are. Open. And we haven't unwrapped the UVs of the roof yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's make this maximize there. I want to put a different material on the edges of the roof than on the actual top of the roof, so going to add a seam right there, and then let's add one across the very top. Control E, mark that seam. And I'm going to tab out of edit mode, and I'm going to Shift H to unhide everything else. And I'm going to take off a big portion. You know what? I'm not going to mess with it. I was gonna delete out the inside of the roof because we won't really need anything because it would be in the attic area. But I'll go ahead and leave it on there, but I'm going to go ahead and add another seam around the edges, like so. Oops. Around the bottom edges. So I can map those out a little differently. Okay, good to go. Control E, mark the seam. And let's mark each corner as well. Mark the seam. Alright, now we can Alt H. Do I have that one marked there? I'm not sure. Let's try it again. There we go. Everything good. Everything good. Good to go. Alright, so now I can control down and unmaximize that, minimize it, or restore it, I guess. U unwrap, and everything should be good. Alrighty. So now we just have to rotate everything. Well, I guess we don't have to. No, that's actually correct. It just needs to be tiled a lot. So we need to come down here to our mapping, and let's see what 5 looks like. It's working okay, but it's not quite small enough. So let's jump up to 10, see what that looks like. Okay, that looks okay vertically, but it looks like it's smushed together horizontally. So let's set that to 7, or maybe back all the way down to 5. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Okay, so everything looking good, looking good. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and do like we did on the brick and make that work as the bump map as well. So let's come down to the influence, set down the normal, and let's see what it looks like in the negative. No, you don't want those cracks coming up. So it's actually correct as is, but I don't want as much. I'm going to put it at 0.5. And then tell you what, it's still too shiny for me. So I'm going to set the intensity to 0.05 instead of 0.15. So there we go. Okay, so let's unhide everything. And look at that. That's really starting to take shape, isn't it? Let's apply that material to the facade roof area here. Go ahead and do the same thing there. Shift H to hide everything else. And we'll go ahead and pretty much control up, make that maximize. Do the same thing we did on the roof. Just add a loop around all the edges. I can zoom in there and see what I'm doing. There we go. Good. Control E. Mark the seam. I'll go and put one across the top here. Mark the seam. And I guess one on each corner. I guess I didn't grab that one. Control E. Mark the seam. So let's grab that loop. That one. And this one back there. Control E. Mark the seam. Okay, so should be good. Control down. You unwrap. Okay, I think that'll work. Running out of time for this part 10, but we'll get up under the eaves and do those next. But we'll keep working right now to get that shingles on there, and that almost looks fine as is. Let's Alt H and hide everything. They need to be a little bigger, so again, need to create a second material for that. We'll call this one shingles facade. Spell it right. There. Facade. Alright, back to textures. And go ahead and make sure you duplicate that. Let's go ahead and name that first. Shingles. And then let there. Shingles facade. Okay. And now we can make it a little bigger. So we'll do the mapping and say maybe 2.5. Let's make it half as big all around. And 5. And it needs to be a little bigger than that even. So let's try 1.5 and 4. So we can kind of run off of there. Now it's a little too big, so let's make it a little bit bigger on the y-axis there. Let's move it, oopsie, set that back to 0. Move it on the y-axis up and down so we can kind of get it evened up with the actual roof line. About, needs to be a little smaller. Trying to line these up here. There we go. That's pretty close. I think that'll be fine. And then we can go ahead and make it a little smaller this way too. Okay, I think that'll work. All right. So we got our roof done, and it's nice and bumpy. And we got our brick texture all set. So now we just have to work on the floor inside. So what I'm going to do in the living room here, I'm going to put hardwood floor, and then I'm going to have the hardwood floor in this hallway area as well, and in the kitchen, and in the dining room, and all the way down this hallway, and probably zoom in on that bathroom. Probably in the bathroom as well, but in the 2 bedrooms, and here, and in, let me Shift F so I can just kind of, Shift F. There we go. So I can kind of just walk around in the scene. This will have carpet. These 2 bedrooms will have carpet, but everywhere else will be a wooden floor. So, all right. So let's get back out of here. And after we get the house itself all done with the wooden floor and the carpet and everything, we can jump in and, well, I guess we'll need to do the eaves up under the roof line. And then, yeah, and then we can work on the doors and windows. And what I'd like to do, honestly, I know it's not in the picture here. If I zoom in there, open image, a new tab. I know it's not in the picture here, but one thing I found that helps with these bungalow style houses, just to kind of break up the color, is to add some trim on the corners. So what I like to do, and maybe some trim up under the eaves as well, just add some white, corners on all the corners of the house, and that helps break up that yellow siding, like right here. It makes it look a lot nicer, and it kind of helps if your texture isn't lined up just right. It can help take care of that. So that the siding along the corners will match up with the siding or the trim around the doors and windows, which will also be painted white. But it's not going to be just solid white like it is now. I'm going to actually get a wood texture and do like we did on the siding, and just kind of make it to where it still has a very subtle wood grain to it, but it's painted a color, which white in this case. But yeah, so it doesn't seem like we covered a whole lot in this part, but we got the exterior looking a lot better. So in any case, that's going to be it for part 10. Sorry this one lasted quite a bit longer than the others, but that's going to be it for part 10. Thank you for watching. We will see you in part 11.